Hello and good evening. Welcome everyone to Leadership Satsang. I am terribly sorry for the delay. I was held back in a session, so had to take some time to wind it up. But I'm right here. Thank you for your patience and for holding on to this space. My name is Yukti Kapoor Mendirata, and I am honored to be your coach. This is called Leadership Satsang because it is about becoming a better leader. And while you do that, you're in the company of those who are like minded, who are just as devoted and dedicated to be better leaders, and hence satsang in a good company of leaders. So, leadership satsang it is. Welcome to yet another episode. Today, I'm taking up a question which was very recently asked by somebody. In fact, more than the question, it was a concern. And I was talking to this gentleman, who has a lot of experience behind him, and he said, Yukti, I see so many people wanting to be good leaders, but they come to a point in life where they believe that they are now only leaders and they don't have to be followers. Your career starts with being a follower, and then you come to a point where you become a leader, and from there on, you only have to be a leader. Is that true? He asked me. And I said, absolutely not. If you have to be a good leader, you need to be a good follower first. And if you forget that, then it is about preaching what you don't practice. Then it is about leading in an unauthentic manner. Because there is nothing authentic about telling people what to do when you don't do it yourself. Correct? अगर आप खुद लेट उठ रहे हैं तो आप किसी को जल्दी उठने के लिए नहीं बोल सकते. अगर आप खुद मीटिंग्स में लेट पहुंच रहे हैं तो आप किसी को पंक्चुअलिटी के ऊपर ज्ञान नहीं दे सकते. So if you really want to tell people what they need to do and they should follow that, you should first know what it means to follow. Don't forget to follow just because you've become a leader. Now, where are we in terms of being a follower is something that I will bring to your attention in today's live right now. Let's do a reality check. But before that, let me say a quick hi to my live audience. Hiren, I missed you in the last few sessions. Good you're back. Very good evening to you. Anurag, good to see you again. Anurag from Lucknow. Prashant, hi. I'm just so getting used to you all. If you guys don't show up, I start getting worried if everything is okay. So please do show up every Tuesday at 8 o'clock for our leadership satsang. This topic, I think, is a very, very interesting topic because it's very easy for us to forget that we need to remain a student. We need to remain a follower as much as we want to become a leader and a better leader at that. So, before we go ahead, I want to share with you how exactly do we learn? What is the process that we go through knowingly and unknowingly? So, as I take you through this, guys, I want you to do a very honest assessment of yourself and see where do you stand in this process of becoming from a follower to a leader. Okay, no mind map today. Let me just draw a few things and I want you to draw this on your sheet. Hi Sanjay, Kailash, good to have you here. Amrita, Vinayak, very good evening to you all. Please pull out your sheets. It's time to dive into your own assessment of who you are and where you are as a leader. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and scribble something here for you that you can draw on your piece of paper as well. All right, so let's look at these 4 levels of learning. Now, these levels are designed in such a manner that you actually move progressively from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay? Let us see where we are, at what level we are as a follower, and at what level we are as a leader. Level 1 learning, the lowest level of this, this path is what we call as unconsciously incompetent. Unconsciously incompetent means that I know it all. People who think I know it all, I know everything, are unconscious of what are their incompetencies. मतलब मुझे क्या नहीं मालूम है, मुझे पता ही नहीं है. I don't know what I don't know. Right? So I feel that I know everything. So anybody who has this mindset or attitude of I know it all is at the lowest level of learning, is unconsciously incompetent. Then you graduate to a level 2. which is when you are consciously incompetent. Okay? Which means what? Which means you come to a point where you're ready to say, I don't know. IDK. Gen Z calls it as IDK. Okay? I don't know. And I don't know requires some amount of courage, right? Especially if you have some baggage of success. गलती से अगर आपने बहुत अच्छा किया है लाइफ में, तो I don't know बोलना और भी मुश्किल हो जाता है. क्योंकि अब आपको 20 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, 25 साल का एक्सपीरियंस है, इस स्टेज पे आके बोलना मुझे ये नहीं मालूम है और आई डोंट नो अबाउट दैट इज नॉट सो इजी. बट इफ यू आर एबल टू डू दैट, what is happening is you are conscious of what you don't know. You're conscious of your incompetency. That is level 2 of learning. When you say, I'm not a know-it-all, I don't know this. Then you graduate to a third level where you are consciously competent, which means you say, I am learning. Most of the people who are here with me for this leadership satsang are comfortably at a level 3. I can say that because it's not only the clarity of what you don't know that brings you here, it's also the willingness to learn that makes you join my sessions every single Tuesday at 8. So you're clearly at that level where you're saying, you know what, I'm consciously developing my competency of becoming a better leader. There is a lot that I don't know. I know what I don't know, and I need to learn. So I am learning. That's level 3. And then you graduate to level 4, which is when you become unconsciously competent. When you become so good at that particular skill that you can actually say that I can help someone else to know this particular skill. What we need to remember is this whole path is to be covered for every skill that comes to your attention where you say, I don't know this. You graduate to a level where you are willing to learn this skill, and then you get to a level where you are so good at it that you don't need to think too much. For example, when you started driving, right? You started driving, you came to a point when you first said, okay, I don't know how to drive, right? And when you said, I don't know how to drive, is when you signed up for some driving class. And then you started learning how to drive. Then you became good at it. And then you came to a point when you were so good at it that you can drive from point A to point B without realizing. Does that happen to you? That you can just move from one place to another, drive from your office back home without you consciously thinking, okay, now I have to press accelerator. Now I have to press the brake. Now I have to turn my steering wheel like this if I have to go left. Do you think like that anymore? If you've been driving for many, many years, the answer is a no. You just drive because you know it. You are unconsciously competent with the skill of driving. Similarly, in leadership, there are hundreds of skills. As it comes to your attention that I don't know something, you learn ways to get better at it. And then you come to a point where you're unconsciously competent with that skill. When you do that, then what happens? Then what happens? Let's see then what happens. If you're able to upgrade yourself to that level is when you come back. You come back to this second level of identifying another something that you don't know. So what is really happening here? What is happening is at a level 1, you are operating from what we call as ego, right? Edging goodness out. Ego is what says, hey, you know what? I've been there, done that. I know it. Don't tell me. I've been in this industry for 25 years. I've done this role for 95 years. Whatever that number of years of experience that helps you or stops you from doing what you really want to do is the ego that holds you back saying, I know it all. You progress from there towards level 2 by being eager to learn that, okay, you know what, there is so much that's going around in the world around me. I don't know everything, but and maybe I don't know what I still need to learn, but these are the few things I know I don't know, and I need to find a way to learn it. That's when you are then able to enhance your abilities as a leader. And only when you enhance your ability as a leader can you then enable change or growth for other people. This is where you are now behaving like a leader. But to behave like a leader, you have to time and again come back to this level 2, which is the trait of a follower. What is the trait of a follower? To be eager to learn. So there are 3 traits that I want to bring to your attention, which will help you to remain a follower so that you can keep coming back here and then grow from here to becoming a leader and find another something to learn and come back here again as a follower and then grow next step forward as a leader, so that you continue to enhance yourself, your skill set, and that will help you to enable someone else's growth. So with that, let me take a pause and check with my audience here. What is it that is resonating with you? What are you taking away from the discussion so far? And then I want to share with you 3 traits to remain a follower. I'm sure we're very, very clear about the fact that to be a good leader, we need to be a good follower, which means if we want to continue improving ourselves as a leader, we need to consciously stay as a follower, especially in today's time when most of the things that we used to work with are obsolete or irrelevant. The world has changed. The skills that were our forte are not required anymore. AI, machine learning, etc., generative AI, all of that is taking away a lot that we were supposed to know. And now we need to know a different set of things altogether, which means we need to come back to being a student because there's just no other way, especially if you have a lot of experience. Because most of that experience, fortunately or unfortunately, is obsolete. You need to come back to being a student. I'm sure you realize it in your own house, at your own place. If you talk to your kids, and if they are teenagers, they know a thing or two more than you do already. They'll talk to you about few things that you have no idea about, and you can rule it out saying this is not important. That's where the world is headed, and we are so away from where it is headed. We are so busy and happy in our la la land that, I'm a this achiever, that achiever, this trophy, that award, and so I know enough, without realizing that the world is moving much faster than your own pace. If you don't catch up, you will be left behind, and then no amount of laurels will be enough for you to look at and feel good about for the rest of your life. Right? So, Amrita, you think you're at the 3rd level, which is consciously competent, right? Wonderful. Okay, what about others? Amrita, thank you for initiating that. Where do you find yourself most of the times? Are you aware of what you don't know? Are you consciously learning something? Are you getting that learning to a level where you are unconsciously competent at it, unconsciously an expert at it? Are you really working up on this path with awareness? Unlearn and learn has to be a new norm. Absolutely, Sanjay. Absolutely. But you know what the problem is, that most of these things have become hashtags only. They remain as hashtag. Hashtag unlearn, relearn. Hashtag world is changing. Hashtag lifelong learners. Really. And if you really go and talk to some of these lifelong learners, my question would be, what have you really learned recently? Out of your own willingness to learn, not because of a compulsion to learn, not because you had to learn to keep your job. You wanted to learn to be a better leader. What is that one skill that you have learned recently? Very few people will be able to answer that. That is being a lifelong learner. Otherwise, it is just a hashtag, looks fancy on my LinkedIn post. Hashtag lifelong learner. Hashtag future leader. Hashtag unlearn, relearn. Okay, Hiren says, ma'am, being in my 20s, for I think I am at 3rd level at certain things and 2nd level for certain other things. That's a very balanced answer, and I agree. That is so true for all of us here, Hiren. There is always something that I don't know, I haven't yet planned about it. There is always, or should always be, something that I'm consciously learning. And then that learning has to get to the next level, and then I come back to my level 2 to see what more do I need to learn, how can I learn it, what will be the method, how will I upskill myself, what will keep me relevant. Because if I keep myself relevant is when I'll be able to lead my team effectively. I cannot lead my team on my past laurels. I can only lead my team with the attitude of being a follower, with the attitude of being a student for life, which means being very clear about which subject I'm working on and how am I going to work on that. How do you bring light to level one, which is unconsciously incompetent? How do you become consciously incompetent? Any thoughts from my live audience? Does upgrading my skill come in that bracket, Bharat? Upgrading your skill comes in the is a shift from second level to third level, where you know what you need to upgrade and you're consciously upgrading it. You're moving towards third level. You're becoming consciously competent in that skill, right? So that's the movement there, Bharat. Now, but tell me, how do I move out of being unconsciously incompetent? पता ही नहीं है मुझे कि मुझे क्या नहीं पता है. I don't know what I don't know. How will I know what I don't know? My level changes depending upon situation. Okay, Sachidanandji, thank you for joining in. This was your question. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, it depends on the situation, but it also depends on the mindset. A situation will sometimes highlight what is missing and what needs to be learned, and that cannot be avoided. But when it becomes a mindset, then we don't have to wait for a situation to happen. Then we are proactively preparing ourselves for any situation that we might face. At the same time, new situations will come in with new set of learning, but the preparation to be proactive will make those situations less complicated, less severe, less dramatic, right? And that's why it is important for us to keep identifying what are the skills that I need to become more competent at, and then go back to what I don't know, and go all the way up once again and over again and over again. That's a follower uh, who has the ability to be a leader. That is a leader who keeps the follower alive. That's how it works and differentiates you from somebody who's become a leader and has taken that as the final destination. Because soon such a person will fall on their face when situations will hit them and they wouldn't know where to look because they've stopped learning. Learning is now just a hashtag. And let me tell you, I'm speaking for the majority when I say that, without exaggeration. With the kind of people I interact with, the number of people I interact with, if I were to run a survey, I'll comfortably be able to prove that many of us only believe you're learning. Because if you truly are, then you will have a learning plan ready with you. You will have a learning budget ready with you. I'm going to talk a lot more about that next week. I was thinking this is going to be a financial year ending by end of March, and next Tuesday is going to be end of March pretty much. So let's really talk about creating a real budget as we get into the next financial year. So more on that next week. But yes, we need to see how unconsciously incompetent we are so that it can come to our consciousness, right? Having open mind and change in the mindset is the only way to move up from level one, as I see it, Hiren. Yeah, so yes, you're right in a way. Being open minded means being open to feedback. So here is the thing, we all have what I call as a blind spot, which means things about you that you cannot see. Others can see that in you, you can't see that in yourself. And maybe others have never bothered to tell you because they don't want you to feel bad. Why should they bother spoil their relationship with you, right? Or others have told you but you have conveniently ignored. What is all this? The way others come and tell you anything is what we call as a feedback, right? When you go back to something that you did earlier and you are now reflecting upon it and somebody is giving you a feed on that, it's called a feedback. Feedback is one way to bring in some light, throw some light into level one, which is unconsciously incompetent. When somebody says, you know what, Yukti, the way you talk, you don't realize that it can really hurt people. I'm unaware of this about me, blindside. Now I'm going to look at that and I'll say, oh, okay. I didn't know that I need to learn how to modulate my voice better, because maybe it's the modulation that is making someone feel like that. It's not my intention, but maybe the way I'm talking, which is tonality and modulation, I need to learn something about that. Now I am consciously aware of my incompetency, that my tonality in voice needs to be relooked at. I need to learn a few things. That's how I move from level 1 to level 2. Feedback is a very powerful way to get there, right? Narendra, I'm picking up on your comment. We are in various mind trap in various stage of life. If we know we are trapped, then we can be proactive, ready, predictable to issues. Not sure if I was able to answer. Many of us think that we can come out of problem, while very few will be ready to predict, prepare, and solve without creating sound. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have agreed more. And yes, Johari window is a very powerful tool, and it clearly tells you that the quadrant where you can't see what others can see about you is called a blind side. And the way to get rid of that blind side is to invite feedback. Maybe one of the sessions we should spend only on feedback, because that is something that everybody goes wrong with. In fact, if not everyone, many people do. Many people don't know how to give and receive feedback in the right way. Would that be a good topic to take for some of our, another leadership satsang some other time? Give me a yes or a maybe or a no in the chat box. Here, my live audience, would you like to spend some time learning a thing or two about feedback? What is the right way to give feedback? What is the right way to receive feedback? I think that'll be a very, very good learning. Yeah, if we agree, disagree, let's have that in the chat box. And we can also ponder over something else as your challenge. I've been receiving a lot of questions. Thank you so much, guys. I've got a lot of emails from you all with questions, and I'm making a note of each one of them. And I promise that in the upcoming sessions, upcoming leadership satsangs, I will pick up your questions and address them. So keep them going. Make sure that you write to me. yukti@sbyacademy.com is my email address, and I will do my best to address your questions. I'm sure those answers will help many others out there as well. So feedback is a good topic. I think many of us are liking it. So maybe we'll line that up for sometime next month or later, but surely we'll cover. Before we conclude today's satsang, as promised, I'm going to share with you 3 traits that you need to bring in consciously to remain a follower so that you can be a better leader. And these 3 traits are a function of your willingness to follow these 3 L's. The first is learn, willingness to learn what is going on in the environment around you. Learn what are the skills that you need to master to do good at the current role and the next role that you aspire to be at, the next level you aspire to be at. The second trait is the willingness to listen. Listen to what is being said before you decide what is your right and wrong. Listen to what is being asked before you present whatever you have pre-decided to present. Listen to what your team needs so that you can provide as a catalyst, because that's your only job as a leader, to be a facilitator and not somebody who controls the show. It is somebody who becomes a catalyst in the process, in the entire system. That's the role of a leader. So willingness to listen. And the third is the willingness to look at the bigger picture, willingness to look beyond yourself. Because when you look at the bigger picture, you realize that until you become a follower, you don't know what to expect from others who should follow you. You're not creating enough inspiration for others to follow you. Why should anybody follow somebody who's not practicing what they preach? And you cannot practice what you preach unless you keep practicing. Otherwise, you will keep preaching. And preaching has a certain shelf life. For some time, people will listen to you out of respect for your age, for your experience. And after that, you only have to turn around to know what they truly feel about you, which is what we call as reputation. What is reputation? What people say about you when you're not in the room. That is your reputation. And let me tell you, reputation goes everywhere with you. It goes everywhere. Before your CV reaches on the table, anywhere, on any table, lands anywhere in the world, your reputation reaches there first. What people say about you is not a figment of their imagination. It is a function of your behavior, your actions, or lack of it. So preach only if you can practice, and lead only if you can become a follower first. I hope you found this to be a useful session. Thank you so much for being here and joining me live. It means a lot to me. Please keep your questions coming in, and more importantly, write down in the comments below, what is it that you are taking away from today's session? As we talked about the growth of a leader from becoming a follower to leading people effectively, from ego to getting to a level where you're eager to learn, to enhancing your skills, and then becoming an enabler. What is it that you're taking away? And the three traits, the three L's that will help you to remain as a follower. I would love to know your learning, your takeaways. Please put it in the comments below. And I will see you next Tuesday for another episode of Leadership Satsang. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you all. Please take care. I'll see you soon.